They laughed at her for being too dark, said she'd be prettier if she were lighter. But what they didn't know was that the girl they mocked was about to become a movement. This is the story of Jasmine. How a girl once bullied for her skin color turned her pain into power, started a viral revolution, and proved to the world that melanin isn't a flaw, it's magic. Stay tuned, because this story might just change the way you see beauty forever. Jasmine, Chloe, and Jason, 3 names that practically came as a set. Where one went, the others followed. From their first day of middle school to their final year of high school, they were inseparable. Their bond seemed unbreakable: study sessions, sleepovers, late-night video calls, even matching Halloween costumes. People around school called them the trio. But what nobody knew was that even in this picture-perfect friendship, Jasmine often felt like the background character in her own story. She was smart, kind, and had a smile that lit up rooms. But Jasmine also had something else. A deep, rich brown skin tone that, in a world obsessed with filters and fair skin, made her feel invisible. Chloe, the fashion-forward one of the group, had porcelain skin and a soft Instagram model aesthetic. Jason, with his charming smile and light hazel eyes, was the kind of guy teachers liked and classmates admired. And then there was Jasmine, beautiful in her own right, but always treated like she had to work harder to be seen. The jokes started small, harmless even. "Girl, don't forget your sunscreen. Don't want to get darker?" Chloe would giggle. Jason once said, "You know, with the right lighting, you'd actually pop in pictures." Jasmine laughed with them, not because it was funny, but because what else could she do? First, Jasmine brushed it off. They were her friends, after all. She thought maybe she was just being sensitive. But over time, the jokes sharpened. Chloe once asked her, "Have you ever tried a skin brightener? Not that you need it, but it could even things out a little, you know?" And Jason, in his usual joking tone, said, "If you were just a few shades lighter, you'd be a total 10. They laughed. She laughed too. But later that night, Jasmine stared at herself in the mirror, wondering what it would be like to be a few shades lighter. Would they treat her differently? Would she finally be enough? At school, things weren't much better. In every group project or club photo, Chloe and Jason would take center stage. Jasmine was always on the edge, cropped out, forgotten, or simply ignored when it came time for compliments. Teachers praised Chloe for her creativity. Jason got props for his leadership. Jasmine, she was the dependable one, the responsible one, the "you're so mature for your age" one, but never the beautiful one. What made it worse was how casual it all was. It wasn't bullying. It wasn't hate. It was something more subtle, more dangerous. It was the kind of behavior that gets brushed off with, "We were just joking," or "Don't be so sensitive." But for Jasmine, it felt like a slow poison. The kind that seeps into your self-esteem and eats away at it quietly, day by day. She started wearing long sleeves, even in warm weather. Avoided bright colors because she thought they made her skin stand out too much. She stopped wearing lipstick altogether after Jason commented that bold colors don't really work on darker skin tones. Her laughter became quieter, her confidence dimmer, but no one seemed to notice. Or maybe they did and chose not to. She often found herself asking, "If these are my best friends, why do I feel so alone?" The truth was, Jasmine didn't want to cause waves. She didn't want to call them out and ruin their friendship. So she kept it all inside. Every joke, every backhanded compliment, every look that lingered just a little too long on someone prettier. But no matter how deep she buried it, the hurt stayed. And the worst part? She started to believe them. That maybe she wasn't pretty enough. That maybe she'd never be the main character. That maybe, just maybe, dark skin meant living life in the shadows. And so she smiled. She laughed. She played her part in the trio. But inside, she felt like she was disappearing. Jasmine kept telling herself it was fine, over and over again. "They're just messing around," she whispered in her mind. "They don't mean it. They're my friends." But the jokes didn't stop. In fact, they got more frequent and bolder. It wasn't just small comments anymore. It was the looks, the way Chloe would hand her a makeup wipe like she was doing her a favor. Or how Jason would suggest filters for their group photos. The warm tone, it helps smooth skin, you know? He'd say, glancing at her with a half smile. Then came the photo. Chloe and Jasmine had gone to the mall together, laughing and trying on outfits, pretending to be models. Jasmine thought they had a great time, until Chloe posted the photo later that night. Jasmine's heart dropped when she saw it. In the picture, Jasmine's skin had been lightened so much, she barely recognized herself. Her deep, melanin-rich tone had been washed out into something soft, golden, and unfamiliar. The caption read, "Finally matching my aesthetic?" Sparkle's #glowup #besties. Jasmine stared at the screen. She didn't know what stung more, the edit or the comments that followed. OMG! Jasmine looks so good here. She should always do her makeup like that. Girl, that new foundation shade is working for you. Jasmine didn't reply. She didn't like the photo. She didn't say anything. Later, when she gently brought it up to Chloe, her friend just laughed. "I was just making it look good for the feed, girl. Don't be dramatic." Everyone loved it. Jasmine nodded. She smiled, but something inside her cracked. Jason wasn't any better. During lunch, Jasmine showed up wearing a new lipstick, a bold, fire-red shade she was excited about. She'd spent 20 minutes perfecting it in the mirror that morning. But as soon as she sat down, Jason raised an eyebrow and grinned. "You're brave for wearing that with your skin tone," he said. "I mean, not everyone can pull off red, especially darker tones." The table laughed. Jasmine's hands slowly reached into her bag, fingers brushing against her makeup remover. She excused herself and wiped it off in the bathroom, staring blankly at the mirror. That red lipstick never saw the light of day again. She told herself it wasn't a big deal. But all those little comments built up, brick by brick, until they became a wall between who she was and who she felt she had to be. Then came the school talent show auditions. Jasmine and Chloe decided to try out for the dance team. They practiced together, laughed through rehearsals, and helped each other with choreography. Jasmine was nervous but hopeful. She had worked so hard. And for once, she truly believed maybe she could shine. The day the list went up, Chloe's name was there. Jasmine's wasn't. She waited until the crowd had cleared, then approached the dance coach with a quiet voice. "Excuse me, can I ask why I didn't make it?" The coach gave a tight smile, the kind adults give when they think they're being gentle. "You dance well, sweetheart," she said, "but you don't really pop on stage. You kind of blend into the background lighting. Maybe next time, okay?" That one sentence cut deeper than any joke Chloe or Jason had ever made. You don't really pop on stage. You blend into the background. You're invisible. That night, Jasmine went home, skipped dinner, and sat in front of the mirror. She didn't cry right away. She just stared at her nose, her lips, her skin. She ran her fingers along her cheeks, almost like trying to erase herself. And then, the tears came hot, silent, endless. Not because she didn't make the dance team, but because, for the first time, she realized they didn't see her. Not Chloe, not Jason, not the coach, not anyone. All they saw was a girl who didn't match the aesthetic. A girl who needed to be lightened to look beautiful. A girl whose skin was something to work around, not celebrate. In that moment, Jasmine wasn't just heartbroken. She was tired. Tired of hiding. Tired of pretending. Tired of believing she wasn't enough. And somewhere in that exhaustion, a spark was lit. For a while, Jasmine felt like giving up, on herself, on people, even on the idea of feeling beautiful again. But something inside her refused to die. The night she broke down in front of the mirror, something unexpected happened. As she sat there with tears still wet on her cheeks, she looked past the sadness, past the hurt, and for the first time she saw herself, really saw herself, not through the lens of Chloe or Jason or society's narrow definition of beauty. She saw the strength in her jawline, the power in her eyes, the richness of her skin that no filter could ever match. And right then, she made a decision. If the world didn't know how to love skin like hers, then she would teach it. The next morning, Jasmine created an Instagram page. She stared at the blank profile picture and typed out the name, Melanin Rising. She didn't overthink it. She didn't plan a big launch. She just posted her first photo, a close-up of her bare face. No makeup, no filters, no smoothing, no edits. Just her natural, raw, and unapologetic. The caption read, "This is me, and I'm done hiding." First, it was quiet. Couple of likes. One comment from a stranger. "You're beautiful." That one comment felt like sunlight after a storm. Each day, Jasmine posted something new. A childhood memory, a poem about her skin, stories of the comments people made, and how they made her feel invisible. But she also shared moments of power, how her skin held the stories of generations before her, how her ancestors wore this same shade with pride, how being dark wasn't a weakness, it was royalty. She talked about sitting at lunch while her friends made jokes, about wiping off lipstick in the bathroom, about the way she once dimmed herself so others could shine. And slowly, the world started to listen. A few days in, a post went viral. It was a side-by-side of her edited photo from Chloe's page and the original image. The caption said, "One of these was edited to make me look better. The other one is the truth. Guess which one I'm proud of." The comments exploded. Thank you for saying what we all feel. I used to edit my pics too. Not anymore. Dark skin is not something to be fixed." In just 2 weeks, Jasmine's page grew from 50 followers to 5,000. People from all over started tagging her, sharing their own no-filter photos with the hashtag #MelaninRising. A girl from Atlanta messaged, "I used to hate my skin. Now I wear it like armor." A mother from Chicago wrote, "Thank you for helping my daughter see herself as beautiful." Even grown women, professionals in their 30s and 40s, thanked Jasmine for giving them the courage they were never given as girls. She had no idea her story would go this far. She had only been trying to heal herself, but in doing so, she lit a path for others too. What Jasmine had started wasn't just a page. It was a movement. She began getting invites to speak on podcasts, in virtual school assemblies, and at women's empowerment events. Local media picked up her story. One day, a well-known beauty brand reposted one of her quotes, "Melanin doesn't need a filter. It is the standard." Her inbox was full of collaboration offers and messages from people saying they'd never seen someone speak with so much truth and confidence. But Jasmine didn't care about fame. She cared about the 13-year-old girl scrolling through Instagram, wondering why her pictures didn't look like everyone else's. She cared about that girl not giving up. Most importantly, Jasmine didn't just find her voice. She gave others theirs too. She realized the very thing they used to mock her for was the source of her greatest power. Her skin was not a limitation. It was her liberation. And now that she had claimed it, she was never giving it back. Chloe and Jason noticed. First, they laughed about it. "Wow, Jasmine's an activist now?" Chloe said, scrolling through one of Jasmine's posts with a smirk. Jason chuckled, "Guess we've got a celebrity in the group chat." They sent each other memes, made inside jokes, pretended it was just a phase. But then something shifted. Jasmine wasn't just posting selfies anymore. She was being reposted by major influencers. A well-known mental health advocate quoted her post about self-worth. A Black-owned skincare brand featured her in their campaign. A video of her speaking about colorism at a local youth event hit over 1 million views on TikTok. She was suddenly everywhere: magazines, podcasts, news articles. The girl they once teased for being too dark was now being celebrated for that very thing. Jasmine was glowing, and not because of filters. She walked through school hallways differently now. Shoulders back, head high. Her voice was no longer hesitant or quiet. It was steady, intentional. People noticed. Teachers called her inspiring. Younger students looked up to her. Even the dance coach who once said she didn't pop on stage now smiled nervously when she passed by. Jasmine didn't brag. She didn't gloat. She just kept moving with quiet power. That silence? It was louder than anything Chloe and Jason had ever heard. Then one day, Jasmine got a text. It was from Chloe. "Hey, I just want to say we didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't realize how those things made you feel. I'm sorry if I ever made you uncomfortable." A few minutes later, Jason called. His voice was familiar, but uncertain. "Come on, Jazz," he said. "We were just messing around. You know that, right? It wasn't that serious. You were always part of the joke." Jasmine paused, holding the phone gently in her hand before answering. Her voice was calm. No anger, no yelling, just truth. "Maybe it was fun for you," she said. "But for me, it was a lifetime of feeling like I wasn't enough." There was silence on the other end. Jason tried to laugh it off. "You know, I didn't mean it like that. We were kids. Everyone jokes around." Jasmine didn't argue. She didn't need to. "You're right," she said. "We were kids. But jokes like that don't just go away. They stay with people. They stayed with me, and I'm not the same person I was back then. I won't let myself be." He didn't know what to say, and Jasmine didn't wait for him to find the words. She didn't clap back on social media. She didn't name names or try to cancel anyone. That wasn't the point. Jasmine wasn't interested in revenge. She was interested in healing. But healing didn't mean pretending it never happened. It meant finally saying the things she used to swallow. It meant drawing boundaries. It meant choosing herself, even when it made others uncomfortable. And most of all, it meant walking away from the version of herself that once needed their approval. She no longer needed validation from Chloe's likes or Jason's compliments. She had thousands of voices, real people, cheering her on, learning from her, growing with her. But even more than that, she had her own voice now, and she trusted it. Sometimes the most powerful sound isn't shouting or screaming. It's the quiet confidence of someone who has finally accepted themselves. The calm truth spoken by someone who once stayed silent. The firm, unapologetic "no more" from someone who has found their worth. That was Jasmine now. And as Chloe and Jason watched her rise, watched the same girl they overlooked become someone impossible to ignore, they began to understand something. What they once saw as weakness had always been strength. They just didn't know how to see it. Jasmine didn't become famous because of her pain. She became powerful because of her healing. That's what people missed. They thought her success was built on sympathy, on outrage, on going viral. But that wasn't it at all. Her strength came from somewhere deeper. It came from the quiet nights when she stared at the ceiling wondering if she'd ever feel beautiful. It came from wiping off lipstick in the school bathroom and telling herself she was being dramatic. It came from years of laughing at jokes that weren't funny just to feel included. And still she rose, not by changing who she was, but by accepting who she had always been. She didn't lighten her skin. She didn't chase approval. She didn't mold herself into someone else's version of pretty. Instead, she changed the story. Jasmine flipped the script that said dark skin was something to fix, to cover up, to soften with filters and edits. She tore that narrative apart, piece by piece, and rewrote it in her own voice. And what she wrote was loud, proud, and revolutionary. She told the world that beauty isn't about being light. It's about being real, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic. In every post, every panel, every speech, Jasmine didn't try to convince people that she was beautiful. She showed them what happens when someone finally believes it for themselves. And that belief, that self-love, it was contagious. She reminded dark-skinned girls everywhere that they were never the problem, that they didn't need to bleach, hide, straighten, shrink, or apologize, that the world might have failed to celebrate them, but that didn't mean they weren't worth celebrating. She taught them that melanin is magic, and that magic doesn't ask for permission. Girls who once avoided the sun started basking in it. Girls who once edited their photos started posting #NoFilter selfies. Girls who once shrank into the background started taking center stage. And Jasmine? She kept growing too.
Not just in followers or opportunities, but in purpose, in clarity, in peace. She partnered with nonprofit organizations focused on self-esteem for teens. She started mentoring younger students at her school. She even got accepted into a summer leadership program for young women of color. Everywhere she went, she shared the same message: you are enough. Right now. As you are. You always were. People still asked questions sometimes. Why didn't they see your talent before? Why didn't you get picked for the dance team? Why didn't anyone notice how amazing you are? Jasmine just smiled. Because now, she knew the answer. Because they couldn't see me, she'd say. But that's okay. Now, I see myself. And that's what matters most. It wasn't bitterness. It wasn't anger. It was power. Soft. Steady. Rooted. And that's what made Jasmine so different. She didn't let her past make her hard. She let it make her whole. She didn't just forgive others, she forgave herself for believing them. For thinking she wasn't good enough. For staying quiet for so long. Now, her voice echoed in spaces she never imagined she'd be in. And it wasn't just her face on magazine pages or her quotes in social media captions, it was her truth that people carried with them. She had sparked a movement by doing something radical, telling her story. Just as it was. Dark-skinned. Unfiltered. Full of pain, but even fuller with purpose. Jasmine wasn't trying to be perfect. She was trying to be real. And in a world that constantly tells black girls to be less, Jasmine showed them what happens when you decide to be more. More visible. More vocal. More yourself. That's why her story mattered. Not because it ended with fame, but because it began with finally seeing her own worth. And once she saw herself clearly, there was no going back.